The never-ending tussle was weighing down many, and one day the then Chief Justice Cecil Miller had to read a riot act when the matter was brought before him for directions.
But ye advocates and litigants must assist the courts to remain true empires and not subjects of your private empires.
Dr. Hamino states that politics too had a hand in direction the epic battle was taking. Each wing was employing all tricks in the book.
Jaramogi was willing to be a witness, but then he was a politician. And the view that was being canvassed in courts at that time was that Luos can only be buried in Luo land. And Jaramogi said that was without merit. His view was that Luos could be buried anywhere.
When you plead custom, the law says you've got to prove it. That's what the civil procedure says. So that is why I had to call witnesses, credible witnesses, to come all the way to Nairobi and testify before Mr. Justice Bosire. And we put a very powerful case. So, in relation to our claim based on Luo customary law, there was really no answer, because the two old men they tried to bring from Luo land, I think, developed cold feet because they did not want to tell lies.
It was, I think, on a weekend, on a Friday or so. Now they were to give evidence on Monday, the following Monday. Now, the following Monday, when I went to the hotel to collect them, they were nowhere to be seen. They had disappeared.
I never saw them myself.
At some stage, I thought I got the impression that the case also became a little bit politicized. It was not strictly legal. The politicians in Luo Nyanza took a great interest in the matter. They felt that SM Otieno, being a person who had accomplished a good name and, in society, his remains should be buried in Luo land.
The Luo came in and said, no, he's our son, and he's a very, very prominent son. I remember Ndolo Aya was a minister then, and he said, 1987, we only have 3 goals as the Luo community. One is to bring back Omieri home. Our second goal was for Gor Mahia to win the African Cup Winners' Cup, what later became known as the Nelson Mandela Cup. And the third goal, this is Ndolo Aya, cabinet minister, saying, we must bring SM Otieno to Nyalgunga and bury him there. That's where his umbilical cord is. And he said this in public.
Those remarks were made by Honorable Ndolo on the Saturday of the burial of Otieno, when he rose to speak, and I can quote him. He said that this year, 3 good things have happened to the Luos.
It was a landmark court case in Kenya, the epic battle for Nyalgunga. On 13th February 1987, Justice Samuel Bosire gave a ruling which would later be upheld by the Court of Appeal. He said, and I quote, "The justice of this case demands that this court directs as to where the deceased, Silvano Melea Otieno, is to be buried. Having regard to the Luo customary law relating to burial, I hereby direct and order that the deceased's body be handed over to Joash Ochieng Ougo and Virginia Edith Wamboi Otieno jointly, or to any one of them for burial at Nyamila, Nyalgunga sublocation, Siaya County. End of quote. It is said the game changer might have been SM Otieno's foster mother, who moved the court with her emotional pleadings.
So what have you come here for? He said, I have come to claim the body of my son so that I can take it home to the village and bury it at the point where his late father, Ougo, was buried and his late mother was buried. And then he ended by saying, if you give me the body and I bury him, I will rest in peace. Go and look at the record, you'll find it there. It was amazing. And I think that is what won the day.
They said we've hit one of our 3 goals. And they were outside here at the law courts, a crowd of them, and they celebrated. Riot police came on horseback to control the crowd. And they started singing, Nyalgunga, Otieno Biro. Nyalgunga, Otieno is coming, clear the way.
A verdict had been reached, which the Umira Kagere clan termed as Solomonic. Both parties were given the body to bury, but it had to be in Nyalgunga, which brought yet another twist.
It would have been unfair to shut the widow out. The decision was a point of burial, giving to both of you, but you have to take the body to Nyalgunga.
So Auntie Wamboi, she's been given the body as much as they have been, the other side have been given the body. But Uncle Otieno apparently had said to her, if they take me to Nyalgunga, none of you should come. Not you, Wamboi, not the children. Let me go alone. But if on their way, as they drive along, when we get to Westlands, I will kick my coffin, come out, and beat everyone in that convoy. Then I go back into my coffin and die. For to die, I must. Apparently, those were his words. So when they were given the body and they acquired they attained all the necessary licenses that are needed to bury someone, they had heard of this line SM had said, I'll wake up at Westland. They flew him to Nyalgunga.
The case pitted the Kikuyus against the Luos, and taking the body by road, anything could have happened.
At the end of the day, the historic burial of the famous advocate took place, but his widow, now deceased Wamboi Otieno, and his children boycotted the Nyalgunga funeral and have never stepped in that village.
Auntie sent over a video crew to record events. She sent over her crew, and there were no mobile phones in those days. So you send people, and unless they call you from a phone booth, you trust that they will do a good job. So that's as close as the family went. They went, they recorded, they came back. But I've never watched that footage. It was the strangest thing ever. You mourn for 6 months and then you don't attend the funeral.
No, there's nothing awkward. Because if you read the record, even the children said they had no connection with Roland. And even as at the time Otieno was died, but he didn't even have a house in that homestead.
On this deserted compound in Nyamila village in Nyalgunga stand 7 graves, that of a father, Jairo Ougo, and his 6 sons. SM Otieno's grave is sandwiched between his other 2 brothers, Simeon Odhiambo and Joash Ochieng. In life, Joash Ochieng jealously protected his late brother's body, and even in death, his grave is next to him. Rispa Ochieng, widow to the late Joash Ochieng, who fought tooth and nail to bury his brother in the village, admits that ties between the Umira Kager clan and Wambui Otieno had been severed as a result of the bitter legal tussle.
Walikuwa nakuja kitambo, lakini wakati Otieno walikufa, hakuna mtoto ameshafika hapa. Kuna moja ameshaenda kuona mtoto wangu huko Kisumu. Sasa sisi hakuna ubaya na watoto.
Like any other mother and perhaps a firm traditions fundamentalist says, SM Otieno's children are still welcome to their father's ancestral home. When SM Otieno's widow Amboi died in 2011, the same scenario occurred. In-laws from Nyalgunga also boycotted her burial in Upper Matasia.
Kitu mimi nataka, kama watoto wanataka mimi niende nisike mama yao, wakuje hapa wote, wasimame kwa matanga ya baba yao, ndio mimi nitoke hapa kama nimesika mkono wa watoto wangu, niende naye kusika mama yao.
Duncan Hemba, The Untold Story.